Donald Trump is furious after getting completely blindsided by a stunning new attack from Tucker Carlson. That's right, Tucker Carlson himself just went scorched earth on Trump over his new latest war on free speech. Trump's move has pitted his administration against Republicans who claim to defend free speech, and now Tucker is leading the revolt. Stick around to hear Carlson's brutal takedown of Trump's agenda, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. This week, Donald Trump and his cabinet have been pushing a new dystopian idea: censorship in America. After 250 years, the constitutional right to free speech might be coming to an end in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death. Since then, Donald Trump and everyone around him have been advocating for some kind of punishment for people who were not sympathetic to Charlie Kirk. J.D. Vance, for example, called on Republicans to contact employers to try to get people on the left fired from their jobs.
Flows from all of us. So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility.
I thought that Republicans called themselves the party of free speech, but people like J.D. Vance are openly encouraging their voters to silence their fellow Americans. And if you thought J.D. Vance had gone off the deep end, just wait until you hear about what Rand Paul had to say this week. Senator Rand Paul is a so-called libertarian Republican. His whole career has been based on keeping the government out of people's lives. But now, after the Charlie Kirk attack, he has completely changed his tune. In an interview this week, Rand Paul claimed that social media companies should either silence attacks against the right or be forced to. He even goes as far as to say that people don't necessarily have the right to say whatever they want. This is literally the exact opposite of what the Constitution supports.
I was assaulted 6-7 years ago, attacked from behind, had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed, and still online on a daily basis people say they wish that it would happen to me all over again. And by sort of making light of what I suffered, they are encouraging other people to do it. And really, that ought to be taken down, and social media ought to be able to take that down. If people are saying this in their workplace, people say, oh, people have a right to say things. Well, actually, they don't necessarily have a right to say things. Many people have in their contract what we call a moral clause to their contract, or a conduct clause. My guess is you have something in your contract that says you have to behave in a certain way in public. Most people do. If you're in the military, you have a conduct code that you have to adhere to in your speech and the way you present yourself to the public. So I think it is time for this to be a crackdown on people. And like I say, it's perfectly legal and legitimate, particularly if it's part of the contract process.
That's right. And you know, it's unbelievable that it seems that it's always conservatives that are being targeted.
In just one breath, Rand Paul said that society needs to start a crackdown on people's speech, and that the government can encourage this perfectly legally. Now, I don't know about you, but a crackdown on constitutional rights doesn't sound very legitimate to me. But here's the thing, the government might not even need to get involved in this hate speech debate, because one tech CEO and ally to Trump, Larry Ellison, says that the government doesn't need to police people because he will do it for them. In a recent press conference about his company Oracle, Larry Ellison explained how he dreams of monitoring students, teachers, and even police with AI-controlled cameras that will report on everything that people say and do. Now, we'll listen to this incredibly dystopian agenda here in a second, but first, I want to let everyone know that Donald Trump just forced TikTok to sell its app in the United States. And do you know who Trump forced them to sell to? None other than Larry Ellison himself. So if you aren't a fan of what you're about to hear, then be cautious about what this guy will do to TikTok.
Securing schools, we think we can absolutely lock down schools so that dramatically reduce the case of anyone being on campus that doesn't belong on campus, and immediately alert, the second someone pulls out a gun, immediately alert, use AI cameras to immediately recognize that. But we keep everyone off campus that doesn't belong on campus. The police, another thing, body cameras. We completely redesigned body cameras. Our body cameras cost $70. Normal body camera costs, I don't know, $7,000. Our body cameras are simply lenses, two lenses attached to your vest, attached to the smartphone that you're wearing. And we actually take the video that the police officer by the way, and the camera's always on. You don't turn it on and off. And by the way, the way you turn it on you can't turn it on. I'm going to the bathroom. Oracle, I need 2 minutes to take a bathroom break, and we'll turn it off. The truth is, we don't really turn it off. What we do is we record it so no one can see it, but no one can get into that recording without a court order.
How insane is that? We can monitor everything that you say or do is going to be a very hard sell to Americans, even for Donald Trump. And while we're hearing all kinds of attacks like these from the right, it all started with Attorney General Pam Bondi. Bondi is in charge of the Justice Department in the United States, and just this past week, she claimed that she and Donald Trump are going to start going after anyone who they claim is guilty of hate speech. But not just any hate speech, particularly hate speech against the right. Just listen to this.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Now, this clip not only went viral, but also led to a huge change in Republican rhetoric. In just the past week, Republicans went from proclaiming free speech to attacking it every single day. And while people close to Donald Trump are all in on this new policy goal, one conservative is fighting back. And out of all of the people on the right, it is Tucker Carlson who is speaking out. On his show this week, Tucker Carlson slammed this new wave of attacks on free speech as being very un-American. He goes so far as to say that if Trump silences Americans, he is putting himself on the first path to dictatorship. Now, I'm pretty sure Trump's already on like step 4 of that, but still, I can't believe I'm actually agreeing with Tucker Carlson today.
The ones who've thought about it, and there are a lot of those. But for a lot of people, particularly those who are just repeating what they think they should say or responding to the momentary rage of the moment, they just throw stuff out. And we've got to hope that the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, is in that category. She said this just yesterday. Watch.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. This is the Attorney General of the United States, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, telling you that there is this other category called hate speech. And of course, the implication is that's a crime. There's almost no sentence that Charlie Kirk, and I'm not running the risk of appropriating his memory for my own ends by saying this, it's provable. There's no sentence that Charlie Kirk would have objected to more than that. And you've got to think the Attorney General didn't think it through and was not attempting to desecrate the memory of the person she was purporting to celebrate, that she just threw that out there, that she hadn't thought about it. You hope that. You hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if it is, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever. And there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes.
I seriously cannot believe what Tucker just said. If Donald Trump goes after free speech in America, there will never be a better time for civil disobedience. Tucker Carlson is literally drawing a line in the sand and daring the president to cross it. And after this past week, I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of enraged and explosive Republicans around these days. Donald Trump might need to think twice before he goes after the First Amendment, because his own voters might be prepared to defend it with the Second. And you already know that this reaction is making Trump absolutely furious. Trump relies on blind loyalty, and when people start to question you, that makes all of the horrible things that you've done come to light. So let me know what you thought of Tucker's attack against the Trump administration today. And to keep getting daily political updates like these, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more.